take my word for it. All right. Do you hear that? No, you don't, because there's nothing. And that's kind of what's coming out of the game industry, at least right now. GDC's over. Take a nap. I don't know. E3's coming. Anyway, I got this really cool email from someone who watched my Soapbox about M-rated games, how they're not necessarily bad for kids because there's a natural curiosity on the part of kids and they can do good things. I talked about how I was naturally curious and read Tropic of Capricorn. Kiddo read Tropic of Capricorn, and he liked it. So I was thinking, I have nothing to say about the games industry. So welcome to Adam Sessler's Book Club. I'm going to recommend some books. I actually think they are good books. I was a lit major and a complete, nerd because I would ride the bus and read books hoping that people wouldn't notice me and hit me. Turns out you actually become more of a target when you're reading a book on a bus. But still, that's not a good reason not to read because you're going to get hit no matter what if you're hittable. Moving on from violence in my youth. Okay, so there's one book. I've always loved this book. It's just great. Paul Bowles. It was written in the 50s called The Sheltering Sky. They made it into a movie. Don't see this movie. It bastardizes the book. Read the book. It's very folkloric and very simple in its language, yet it's almost like a horror novel, but it's not. You have this very aloof couple right after World War II. They go traveling through North Africa. And their marriage isn't too hot. And as they travel further and further into the desert, remember, North Africa was part of World War II, and it's not exactly, the hottest place to be. As they get further into the Sahara, not only is their marriage falling apart, but just their sense of the sheltering sky, that which is their Western civilization, that protective shield, is getting stripped back. And they start to not realize that what they know doesn't work in that world. And it's amazing where the book goes, and the ending is absolutely magnificent. Paul Bowles' The Sheltering Sky. Also, read all the rest of his novels, and his short stories are absolutely amazing, but that's really what he's most famous for. A wonderful read. Let's see. Another book that Adam likes. This is an easy one. If you're in college, you've already read this, but this is just the guy's book. The Sun Also Rises. Hemingway. Don't let the name Hemingway scare you. This book, it's about men. It's about men without penises and being in love. Actually, you need to know that because they barely touch over that fact, but the guy is emasculated at the beginning of the book, or he talks about being emasculated. It's an absolutely romantic novel that is not a romance novel. It's got bullfighting. This is the very reason that people actually went to Pamplona to do the running of the bulls, is because this book takes place during all of that. It's about a series of affairs of all those people who were lost after World War I and trying to find their way. Yes, there's not too much action in it, but trust me, book, absolutely amazing. All right, this next one, not as many people have heard of it. I was actually turned on to this by my wife. She knew this author when she was in college. Richard Reichen, wrote a book called The Lost Legends of New Jersey. If ever there's a reason for no one else to write another coming-of-age story, it is this book. Absolutely poetic, and it really captures a certain sense of anguish in growing up. In very thoughtful ways. It doesn't feel like it's being told from a distance. Like, oh, yes, back in those days it was like that. There's something very immediate. It wasn't written so that 14-year-olds would know what it's like to go through puberty. It really just has this painful nostalgia about a difficult relationship with his father and trying to figure out exactly how to deal with women. There are passages I think I've read over and over after reading them because I could not believe how just wondrous the prose was in that. If you read the book, there's one paragraph, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I was reading it on a plane, got a little teary-eyed, and then, took a drink so no one would think anything different of it. All right, I'm going to throw this other one out there. He wrote plays, but he also wrote novels. Samuel Beckett. He actually wrote a trilogy. Molly, Malone Dies, and The Unnameable. Very, very dense. It's very stream of consciousness. You're in the minds of crazy people. But there's something so awesome about it. There's a real sense of desperation of, I need to keep talking or else I stop existing. It's almost, I'm not enough of a scholar on Beckett to want to do this justice. All I know is the line, I can't go on, I'll go on, is pretty much my mantra. I would recommend that, but yeah, it's definitely, you could probably hammer nails. It's so dense with the language. My final one of my favorite authors of all time, William Burroughs. Obviously, he's very famous for Naked Lunch. He's very famous for being an interesting guy that, shot his wife, really loved heroin, kind of was a homosexual, kind of, huh? Anyway, a lot of people, obviously, Naked Lunch, because it was banned, is his most famous novel. They made it into a wonderful Cronenberg movie. I've always felt that actually probably the best entryway outside of Junkie, because it's a much different book, is one of his last novels called The Cities of the Red Night. It's got detective qualities, it's got weird thoughts about love being a virus, and it's got the classic Burroughs stuff where the manipulation of language is the way in which people have power over others, and the way in which you try to hold on to nostalgia in the past as a corrupting influence that's keeping mankind from actually evolving. It's mad, it's manic, it's got pirates, and talks about how pirates were the first democracy. I mean, it's all over the map. But there's just something just glorious about the language that makes it so worth reading. One thing, if you don't like depictions of anal sex, you might want to stay away, because this is William Burroughs, and that man doesn't pull punches. He actually hits as hard as anyone could ever hit when he's writing about certain things. So anyway, that's Adam's Book Club. The next time I'm bored to tears with the gaming industry, I'll probably come up with 5 others. Try them out. Let me know what you think. Or just write me and tell me to go f*** myself.